Come sit here by my side, which I will tell a story that seems simple, but it can change your way of thinking. It is no empty promise or magic formula. It is a method that millennial cultures have dominated for generations. The difference is in small habits, those who, when cultivated with discipline, transform the mind as a gardener transforms the earth. If you want to receive clear ideas, without exaggeration or spectacle, follow this path. Many people believe that intelligence is a gift, some are born with it, others not. But the truth is different. The mind is like a precision tool. If you let her rust, she loses the thread. If it is sharp every day, it cuts any challenge. Some spend their mental ability on complaints, distractions, and purposeless conversations. Others direct her to what really matters and thus become stronger every day. My grandfather used to say, the mind is like a field. If you don't have it, the woods take over. But if you cultivate it, it feeds not only you but many others. He returned from the war with nothing except for the determination of improving his mind a little every week. Leah wrote down, reflected. Years later, he was sought by sages and scholars in search of advice. Modern science confirms the brain develops where we create routines. A small practice, repeated often, transforms weaknesses into strength. Intelligence does not suddenly arise, it gradually builds itself as compound interest, and the result appears faster than we imagine. The first step to a sharper mind is to question why. Most live in the automatic, repeating others' patterns without reflecting. But when you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Wake up the critical thinking. Half of the things we do by habit are unnecessary. By eliminating them, we make room for what really matters. The second step is to register. When writing your ideas, spending, or plans, you take your heads out of your head and gain clarity. I saw a teenager who began to write down everything in a notebook. In a year, he was more serene and lucid than his colleagues, lost in disorganization. The third step is to protect your attention. A scattered mind is a weak mind. If you eliminate at least one source of distraction, your concentration capacity increases considerably. It is like light, scattered, only warms, focused, cut metal. Want to be 70% smarter in a week? Start around, question, write down, and filter what steals your focus. These three simple but powerful actions change a person faster than any grandiose speech. Are you paying attention? Asked the old man, adjusting his kippa. So I will reveal something that seems obvious, but revolutionizes the mind. Intelligence does not strengthen with words, but with exercise like a muscle. The fourth step is to stop. Many think that the mind grows with incessant activity, but this is a mistake. It needs pauses, just as the body needs sleep to reflect, never hear your own thoughts. Recent studies prove it is in times of stillness that the best ideas are born. The fifth step is to learn from everyone. A sage is not one who knows everything, but who extracts lessons even from a child or an opponent. I met a boy who calculated with impressive speed. We laughed, thinking that it would be for nothing, until someone noted, learn from his attention. And it was true. His focus made us notice details that we would be beaten. The mind expands with humility, not with arrogance. The sixth step is to face small daily challenges. People expect great wins, but intelligence strengthens with constant training. I met a young man who did a difficult thing every day. I solved a problem, memorized a paragraph, read a complex text. In a year, his mind was sharp as seasoned steel. Today they call this resilience. We call discipline. The old man smiled and added, remember, the mind is like a candle. If not protecting it from the wind, it goes out. But if adding a little oil every day, it will shine more and more. And in fact, it develops where there are three things: pauses to hear, willingness to learn from anyone, and the daily practice of overcoming simple obstacles. These steps do not require talent, only honesty with oneself. In a week it will notice thoughts are clearer, the firmer concentration, the sharper memory. You will indeed be smarter than it was before. No, he continued, the mind doesn't like agitation. She flourishes where there is silence, order, and respect. I will share some more rules that may seem silly, but they are the ones who sharpen intelligence. The seventh step is the organization and the details. When the environment is messy, the mind is also dispersed. My grandfather always stacked the books and kept the tools in his places. A confused head doesn't work well in the midst of a messy table, he said. Current research confirms the external order releases mental energy. Try fixing your workspace and you will see how concentration improves. The eighth step is the repetition. Many people underestimate their power. They think that if they understood once, it is enough. But the truth is that knowledge only becomes wisdom when revised constantly. I remember a teacher who reread the same book dozens of times. They asked, why? He answered, each reading reveals something new. Because I'm no longer the same person. Repetition deepens understanding. The ninth step is to listen carefully. Most hear just to answer. The wise listens to understand. I met a trader who spoke little, but when he opened his mouth, his words solved everything. Why? Because he listened to everyone, absorbed, analyzed, and only then took conclusions. Paying attention to what others say expands the mind surprisingly. The 10th step is to see connections. Ancient wisdom teaches nothing is by chance, everything is interconnected. When you realize how little things influence the big ones, how the past connects to the future, the mind takes a jump. It's like a puzzle. The pieces alone make no sense, but when fitted, they form the full image. A friend of mine realized that time and money are the same. Upon valuing one, it valued the other. These associations make the person wiser than any diploma. Don't forget, added the old man, intelligence doesn't come from vanity, but humility, order, repetition, attentive listening, and the ability to see beyond the obvious. These simple steps, in a week, make the mind lighter, strong, and wide, not because they are complicated, but because they are sincere. He adjusted Keepa, looked in his eyes, and said, "Now I will tell you something that many forget. Intelligence is not only memory and numbers, it is also heart. If the heart is closed, the mind gets blind. The 10th step is gratitude. Who is not grateful only see what they lack. His vision is narrow as a corridor. But when you thank you, the mind opens. It comes to see not only the faults, but the possibilities. And this is how true growth begins. The opportunities. I met a woman who, every night, wrote 3 words in a notebook. Thanks for today. Her eyes shone as if she knew something that others ignored. Modern psychologists confirm gratitude expands perception and makes the mind more agile. Because when you thank you, the brain sees beyond the obvious. The 12th step is the courage to make mistakes. The fear of error kills intelligence faster than poverty. Many avoid learning new things for fear of seeming ignorant. But Jewish wisdom teaches, just don't mess who does nothing. I remember a young man trying to master a craft. He broke parts, wasted material, was a source of laughter until, years later, he became a master. Her mind affirmed in practice, not in theory. The 13th step is the art of asking. The fool fears question. The sage seeks answers. I met an old man who repeated the same question until he tired others. They called him boring, but it was he who found solutions where the others gave up, because the intellect grows with questions, not silent. The 14th step is patience. Rare knowledge becomes solid. Truth needs time to take root. In our tradition, we study texts for years, repeating word by word. My grandfather said, wisdom without patience is like water in a basket, everything flows. Today, science proves attention and time are the largest capital of the intellect. And that's where the old man continued, that the mind is strengthened not only with books for numbers, it grows grateful, with the boldness of making mistakes, with questions and patience. Simple things that transform not only intelligence but fate. Because an open, grateful, brave, and patient mind always finds ways where others see dead Alice. He smiled and lowered his voice. Now you know enough to understand. Intelligence is not a mystery, it is work. But I will take you the last steps to complete the picture. The 10th fifth step is to share. Who keeps knowledge only for themselves, over time loses it. Who divides, strengthens the intellect itself. A teacher I had used to say, I learn twice as I teach others. True, I explaining. The mind makes stronger connections between what you know. The 16th step is to observe yourself. Before bed, my grandfather asked, what did I do today to get wiser? Sometimes the answer was modest. I read a page. But it was these pages, day after day, who turned him into a wise man. Self-analysis is the mirror without which the mind gets blind. The 7th step is to unite knowledge and action. In our tradition, we say, wisdom without practice is dead letter. You can read 1,000 books, listen to 1,000 stories, but if you do not apply, the mind does not evolve. I saw a man who spent years studying business but never started. He knew a lot, but remained poor. Another, with less theory, acted and learned on the way his intellect was affirmed, why he was tested in practice. The 18th step is to respect the breaks. The mind, like a candle, cannot burn non-stop. In our culture, Shabbat is a resting training, a day without work, a day without noise. In this silence, the intellect purifies itself, becomes clearer and more potent. Modern science confirms the deepest ideas are born in rest. The old man looked deeply and said, if you take only 3 of these steps and practice them for a week, you'll see. Your mind will change. People will notice that you speak more clearly, think more deeply, see further. It will not be a miracle, but a result of honest work. Remember, intelligence is not a gift, it is habit. And if you change your habits, in a week it will be 70% more lucid. If you persist, one day it will be wiser than you ever imagined. You are not weak, you just forgot the power of discipline and purpose. Recover it. The secret, he continued, is not in rare inspirations, but in the small steps you repeat every day. I will give you examples of my life. When I was a boy, we didn't have expensive books at home, only a worn Bible and some school notebooks. I then decided I'm going to write down an idea a day. At first, it looked like a game, but in a year there were notebooks full of reflections. Those records have become my treasure. I understood that if every day you deposit a grain in the barn, one day it will overflow. The same logic applies to the mind. Modern thinkers say the same. Small habits generate great transformations. A repeated step 1,000 times is worth more than 1,000 steps taken once. Intelligence strengthens with system, not with chance. I tell you another story. We had a neighbor who loved to show off his memory. He knew songs, quotes, spoke nonstop, but when I needed to solve problems, it was lost. Already another neighbor, quiet, little spoke, but every night wrote down what he had learned in the day. Years later, the first one was just a storyteller, the second, a wise counselor, because intelligence is not how much you keep, but what you do with what you know. And there's another truth: the mind grows in difficulties. When life is easy, the intellect falls asleep. When obstacles arise, he seeks new ways. That's why we said, an obstacle is not a wall, it's a door. Whenever I faced a problem, I asked, what does she want to teach me? And it came out wiser. Now reflect. You can read this text, listen to stories, nod with your head. But if tomorrow does not take a step, not write an idea, not ask a question, not silence the noise, nothing will change. The mind only grows with action. The old man leaned and whispered, try for a week, only 7 days. Every day, take a step, write, listen, ask, read, share. In a week, your mind will be clearer. In a month, stronger. In a year, you will be someone else. He sighed and revealed the last secret. Simple but powerful: intelligence is not what you have. That's what you do to her. I saw rich men with empty looks. They had money, but not wisdom. And he saw poor artisans whose words were worth more than gold. The difference was in the habits. Some burned the days in the rush. Others counted every minute, every thought, every coin. Intelligence is not beautiful words. It is respect for the little one. Remember, in a week, you can change the direction of your life if you start asking why, writing ideas, protecting your attention, stopping in the middle of the noise, learning from everyone, repeating, listening, seeing connections, grateful, not fearing errors, questioning, being patient, sharing, analyzing, and joining knowledge with action. It is not theory, they are simple steps. What can you do? First, take a notebook and start writing. Write down 3 ideas that came up on your day. Second, ask yourself, why do I do what do I do? This question will open more doors than 10 books. Third, reserve an hour of silence. May it be a moment of stillness to the mind. Fourth, thanks for 3 things you have. Fifth, tomorrow, do the hardest thing first. These 5 steps will be the beginning of everything. These 5 steps will be your starting point. In a week, you will notice the difference: lighter thoughts, listening to more attentive, faster understanding. It will not be magic, it will be the concrete result. To respect the discipline. As Jewish wisdom says, do not expect intelligence to arrive alone. Build it, day after day, as if a house rose. The mind is its most valuable wealth. No one can get it out of you. You are not weak, you just forgot the power of discipline and purpose. Recover that strength. Start now, without excuses. Here we learn together to become wiser and stronger, one step at a time, one week after another. The path is simple, but it requires action, and the action begins when you decide that today is the day.